In this video help, I'm going to be covering the annual budget. Before I do that, though, I want to make a comment. One of the interesting things about this application is that it addresses one of the shortfalls in the education system, both in high school and college, where individuals are not instructed on how to do a bank statement, read it, or use that bank statement to balance their checkbooks, or again to do anything about an annual budget. There's not anything that's even covered. In fact, in most cases, people don't really do an annual budget to look at their situation and current cash position, except for to look at their bank statement. And if they think their bank statement looks okay, then fine. They really do not verify or do the calculations that are required to find that they are accurate or not. For example, you should be clearing all your bank items on the bank statement to make sure that you're not getting bogus charges or things that are in error, and they can be in error. There's famous stories about how things are misdone on your bank statements. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and cover the annual budget and explain why it's in this application and how it's used. When you click on the bank statement annual budget, you're going to get a listing of all the bank statements, not bank statements, the annual budgets that you're working with. In this case, there are two in the current situation, and these can be overwritten in the sample records. There's one for business and one for home. Let's go ahead and take a look at the home one for 2014. And what we're going to do here is we're going to see that the basic screen looks like there's a portal, which there is, and there is a radio button where you can either pick business or home. Now you can have as many budgets as you want to. It depends on what you're actually budgeting for. There are many different reasons why you would have extra budgets on an annual basis, where, say for example, you have your own business and you want to run a business budget, and you have maybe more than one budget for more than one part of your business, or maybe multiple businesses. As a home budget, usually you can have a home budget for either one individual or more. It depends on how many family members need to run a budget for their own situation. In the budget screen, you're going to see that you have a portal ID, which is not editable, and it's added for a single record like this is. If you create a new record for a new budget, you can either do that in the list view or in this screen. It'll add a new blank budget where you can add the data. You then would type in what year it's for, and you would hit the radio button for whatever kind of budget, home or a business. This will automatically be added by the computer, so you do not need to edit that. In addition, when you are creating a budget for the first time, you need to do some work a little bit where you're going to have to go in and take out some of your bank statement information and go through it in order to get the information you're looking for. You can start a budget anytime. It doesn't make any difference what year, what time of the year, or whatever you start it, as long as you continue it from year to year. So for example, we're in the month of June right now. At the very end, if I started my budget in here, I would go ahead and put it in and start it running in June. And for June down here, I would go ahead and really don't have to do anything on this one, because as you add data, you're going to see what it does. It's going to automatically add, for each month you do, it's going to automatically add the summary of all the items in this column for that particular month and put the summary down here. So if I added another new item here, it would be calculated together and added down here. What do we do when we create a new line item? We look in the list of items that are here in that row and pick something in there. If you do not see it for what you're looking for, click on the budget items at the top of the screen and go into this screen here and add that budget item that you want to have in there for your budgeting purposes. You can go back to the budget screen by clicking here on the list and then picking the budget you're working on and go back in again. As you create a new budget item on any one of the months, so for example, if this were January and I created that item and now it's June, I would go ahead and move over to June and then add the items in this column for June. Now, as far as income is concerned, income can change from month to month when conditions change. For example, on a budget, you may have capital that comes in from an unexpected source as far as income is concerned. Now, what is income? It's your net receipts for income, which would be your combined income from your work. It'd be husband, wife, or other sources of income. It'd be pensions. It would be anything that is capital that's coming into your to your area where it's expendable for this particular thing. In this case, it's the home budget, where items are coming in that are representing what the income is per month. So in this case, I showed $3,550 for this month. But say, for example, we got an additional $100 for February, then it would be $3,650 for the next month, and so forth through the year. This is very important because what's going to happen, these fields are going to calculate on a month basis. So this is an expense. Out of $3,550, I took out $130, and $3,040.20 is what's left over. Now, what happens, it'll go through each month and iterate this as you go through, and each month when you put in those salaries or incomes that you have, and it'll automatically calculate in this field and these up here to round off your budget and make sure that it's calculated correctly. Then at the end of each row, what you're going to see here is it's going to do the budget to date, the amount of income to date, and the balance of income to date. And on this summary up here at this line, it's going to show you all the account expenses all the way across, and then it's going to show you the summary of expenses, in this case for the electrical company. Now, you do not put income on these lines. These are all expenses in this area up here. So anything that is a debit to your statement would be put in here as far as the items. And of course, it could be any one of these or any that you add. The case, for example, if I put in computer and I said in the month of June, I put out $1,300 for a new, or actually $1,300 for a new computer, you'll see that it put the $1,300 in here and it reduced that out of the income. And if I did not put in my income, running income, I would not see the summary of all the months of income. So I would then now put in February through June as far as income that was brought into the account. And so if you're looking at this now, this is all expenses, all income, and then the calculated differences between the income and expenses and the balance that you currently have in your account. Now let's talk about some of the detail issues about using a budget. Let's say, for example, you are going to buy a new car in the month of June, okay? And that's obviously a big expense. You could put the information about that particular item as far as what you're budgeting and how you're budgeting it, and specifically about why and what for. In this case, if I could afford a $550 monthly payment, what I would do is I'd note that piece of information in here, and then if I'm buying that car, I'd put the information about buying it related to the month that I'm actually buying it, because it is a new item that will impact the budget greatly as far as the income is concerned. So these are what are called pop-ups, and it would be the comment for each individual row. In this case, if I were going to get a new car and it was something about that purchase of a new vehicle, I would add that to the category. I'd put it in the category field, and then I could do a what if. What if I wanted to see what a $550 a month payment would do to my accounts? I could put in the $550, and then I would see what it actually would do to my account as far as the cost of budgeting. Now, obviously, if I had put in all my income to this point, I would see exactly how the impact would affect my income. So if I did something like this in the month of June, just to do a bogus thing, but to see what it looks like, I would put in the $3,550 just to see how it attacks my money and see what it's left over. So if I had a $550 plus a $1,300 computer budget in here, you'd see I'd only end up with $1,700 at the end of the month. That may not cover my bills or anything like that, but I want to show you that one-time expenses plus month-to-month expenses can impact your income quite a bit if you're not watching what might happen to you. So what ifs could be I have to buy a computer or I have to buy a car that are unusual things that are occurring during the period of the month. So, or your annual budget. You can also do things like vacations. If you estimate a vacation and say in July I'm going to have a vacation, and I could put the vacation as an expense item, I would put in here what I estimated it would be. Say it's $3,000. Well, if you're looking at the income, over the year period, you probably banked money at this level of income, and you want to see if you can afford to take a vacation that's going to cost you $3,000. And you can see the impact on your sum of income and then the sum of balance due after you take the vacation and have these other extraordinary expenses during the year. It gives you a much better idea of what you can afford and what you cannot afford as far as your budget's concerned. So you can try a little trial and error yourself and just play with a sample budget. For example, you can create a thing called 214 sample, and then you can go ahead and put in all these things and kind of guess what it would look like and work as a tutorial for yourself as far as things that you need in a budget. And you can always refer back to it because all these budgets are retained. So if you wanted to go and look at the list view and see what budgets are in there, you could go ahead and click on them and then come back to them to see how they fare as far as the rest of the budgets that you carry. And you can also do more than one budget per year. You could have one that looks at certain things during the year that are optional items that you want to see as far as like buying a new computer, buying a new car, and so forth, and run just a budget to see what the summary total with that all those items would be for that 1 year. They'd be each line item and then summarized as budget to date, summary of income, and so forth, and the balance of that. So you can see how it could actually, those extra items actually impact your separate accounts. Now, very few people do this, and they should do it. They should budget all the time and keep an idea of what they are actually expending, and it may be a good position. You might have a very pleasant surprise that during the year your income is very strong, and then you can figure out what you can save based on the information coming through here. Or maybe buying insurance might be a thing where you use some of the money that you have as capital remainder and balance and buy life insurance, or put money away for your children's schooling or whatever, which might be on that odd budget that I'm talking about as far as optional money, to see what your total options are for 1 year as far as expenses are concerned. Now, if you have questions or you're curious about learning more about ways to do that, you can always go back to the bank account screen, click on the support site button, go to the support site and ask questions if you have them about this particular application usage, especially when it comes to the annual budget. There's also the UDF portal, which will show you these items, and you can search within the UDF portal for specific bank account information for records in bank accounts where you're looking for the UDF field information itself. Okay. If you have any other questions, like I said, give me a contact. Thank you.